Yo, what's up, Broncos country? This is Eddie with Rocky Mountain Blitz and Colorado Sports Connection. So, I wanted to talk about the draft and all the players that we drafted and, get into what I think and pretty much maybe give them grades on what the Broncos did in this year's draft and who I'm really looking forward to seeing this season, to play. So, here we go. So, on Thursday night, round one of the draft, everybody was full of suspense. It was who are we taking? Are we going to trade up? Are we going to get a quarterback? Are we going to stay at pick 12 and take a quarterback? Are we going to trade back? Well, as we know, the first part of the draft, one, two, three quarterbacks went. And then, JJ McCarthy actually fell all the way to 10. And I think the rumor came out that Sean Payton pretty much scared the Vikings into trading up, thinking that the Broncos were going to trade up to take JJ because they were very interested. But as we learned on Thursday night, that was all a smokescreen. The guy for Sean Payton was Bo Nix, and we knew that from the fact that he took him at 12. And I was live on this channel with a bunch of other guys Thursday night, and you heard a lot of them say, Brock Bowers fell to our laps there at pick 12. Same with Bo Nix. And the guys I was talking to was like, oh, we need to trade back, or we need to draft Brock Bowers. That would be perfect. And as you all know, I was still very hype. I'm like, Bo Nix is my guy. He's been my guy all off season. Like, I was saying, yeah, during even the stream on Thursday, like, yeah, the Broncos, what if they trade up to get JJ? But JJ wasn't on my big, my first selection. Bo Nix was my first selection because I liked what I saw on tape. His comp, leading into the draft was Drew Brees. His timing, his accuracy, his ability to throw, over the middle, all that stuff, stood out to me. And that's what Sean Payton wants. And I was excited for it, honestly. So I was a Bo Nix guy from the end of the season up until the draft. And it was funny to me that a lot of people are like, oh my God, we're at 12. Brock Bowers is there. The Broncos should trade back, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, no, take Bo Nix. I believe he's Sean Payton's guy. Well, as we learned after the draft, it was, the big board for the Broncos. The only other two players that were in front of Bo Nix on Sean Payton's big board was Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. And we knew those guys weren't going to be there at 12. And most likely we weren't going to get them anyway because the Bears weren't trading out of the first round pick, and neither were the Commanders. They were going to trade out of the second round pick, or I'm sorry, the second overall pick. So when Bo Nix fell to us at 12, I was ecstatic. And if you guys watched the stream Thursday night, I was giddy. I was excited. I was screaming like a little girl. I was so freaking excited whenever I saw his name go across my screen. And, a lot of people I've seen over the last couple of days, are, talking bad about the Broncos, saying, oh, they reached, which I believe they did reach a little bit. But if it's your guy, he's the future, and the head coach really wants him, I don't think it matters if it's a reach. If the guy pans out, no one's going to be talking about in 2-3 years, oh, Bo Nix was a reach at pick 12 if he's, out there winning us games, getting us into the playoffs and beating the Chiefs consistently. No one's going to care. And I was just super excited about that pick. Just everything that went into it, man. Like, even like when Goodell came out, like I knew before Goodell even announced it because I was looking at PFF, I was looking at PFF at the time, and they were, putting up the picks before they even announced them on TV. But I know a lot of Bronco fans were like really eager to hear who the pick was. And Goodell was like taking a sweet time walking across that stage in order to announce the pick. And I already knew, like I was jumping for joy. So Bo Nix at 12, a lot of excitement. Sean Payton got his guy. I think he's going to ball here in Denver. I really do. Everything that came out about him is true. He's probably the most accurate passer that came out of college this year. His timing routes are great. He can throw over the middle. He can throw from the pocket. He doesn't panic. I understand he's a little older and a lot of people don't like that the fact that he's 24, but who cares? Even if, he's 24 and he only plays for like 10 years, you still got him until like his mid 30s. So you got him for 10 years at the bare minimum. So, when Patrick Mahomes is already 28. So by the time Bo Nix is like, 35, Patrick Mahomes is going to be 40 basically. and probably retire. So as long as we got a guy that compete with Patrick Mahomes over the next 10 years, I'm fine with it. And going over that, it was just so exciting to see Bo Nix get drafted by the Broncos. Just seeing his reaction, seeing his family's reaction, seeing a lot of Broncos fans actually wanted Bo Nix. I mean, there was a few that were like, "Oh, we should trade back, or we should take Brock Bowers, or take someone else." A lot of people were or I shouldn't say a lot, but some of Bronco fans were disappointed about the pick. Personally, I wasn't. I was ecstatic. If you go back and watch the video from this channel on Thursday night, you see me screaming like a little girl on the, live at that time because I was excited. So Bo Nix is the quarterback of the future. And honestly, if I had to give it a grade, a lot of the grades I've seen on Bo Nix over the last couple of days is like a D. Heck, I've even seen some people give it an F. A couple people gave it a C. I give it a B plus, honestly. And to me, like I say that, just to kind of be out there, give what I think it's a good pick. Now, it would be a great pick. Like, I don't think you can give any, player an A whenever you draft them because you don't know what that player is going to do. It could be the first overall pick. They could still bust out. It could be the last overall pick, like Brock Purdy, and be, good. So I personally think letter grades are just ridiculous. So, and I actually saw someone earlier talk about this. Like, all players should get like a B. And that's understandable, because it all depends too. Like, yes, the player has to be good in his own right. He has to be, translate to the NFL from college good, but it also depends on where they go. Like last year, D'Amico Ryans with CJ Stroud. Like, I honestly didn't expect, not just because the Texans were bad, but it's like young rookie quarterback with a young rookie defensive minded head coach. Like, I mean, it worked out for him. Great. But, that doesn't usually work. So that's why I feel kind of bad for Drake May. He's going to a new defensive minded head coach in New England. James Daniels is going to a defensive minded head coach. Even Caleb Williams is going to a defensive minded head coach. Scheme and situation matter for a young QB. And honestly, if you go through the YouTube, you go over the media over the last couple of days, everybody's saying the same thing, that pretty much Bo Nix went to the perfect situation. He, out of all the quarterbacks, he was the best. He had the best situation. He's going to the best situation out of all the young quarterbacks coming out this year. He is. And I get that because his comp was Drew Brees. He's going to one of the best offensive-minded head coaches in the game. So I give it a B, but honestly, I think letter grades are just ridiculous. Like, I don't think it matters because it doesn't matter where you drafted, what position. Any player can be bad or good, no matter where they're drafted or what position. They can be bad or good. It don't matter. So that's what I think about that. And I'm super excited about Bo Nix, and we got our QB of the future. I think he's going to ball. So after Bo Nix was drafted, the next player was Jonah Ellis, pass rusher. And at first I was just like, okay, why are they getting a pass rusher? I understand somewhat, I understand more if it was a defensive line guy. But he's an edge guy. You got Baron Browning, you got Nick Bonito, you got Jonathan Cooper. You got some young guys there that you still need to see what they're going to do. Honestly, I would have been more happy with a defensive line guy in round 3, but I'm not going to complain. I watched some of the kids' highlights. He's a baller. And this ain't me, just saying this because they got drafted to the Broncos. Honestly, his tape, he is a baller. The kid's always around the football. He's always getting at the QB. So I'm happy for that. But now, to me, what's that signify? Does that mean that they don't trust Nick Bonito? I mean, he didn't really improve much last year. But it's like now you got Jonathan Cooper, Baron Browning, who's honestly your best pass rusher at this point. You got Jonathan Cooper, who's solid, and then Nick Bonito. After that, it's like, where are you going to put him? I mean, is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be a backup? I mean, to me, this just says a lot more about Nick Bonito at this point. Honestly, they don't see Nick Bonito turning the corner. They don't see him as a starter. Maybe a kind of guy you put in and take out. Like a rotational guy. That's how they see Nick Bonito. And Jonathan Cooper, I don't know what that means for him either. Like, do they think the same thing about him? Like, is he a rotational piece too? Like, he's not going to be a starter next year. It's going to be Browning and Ellis on the edge. I guess we'll see. And if you know, I wish they would have went defensive line in the third round. Honestly, I like Zach Allen. He's probably the best. DJ Jones, he doesn't really cut it for me. Regardless if he's playing DN or if he's playing defensive tackle, I don't think he's that good. DJ Jones, he was brought in a few years ago to stop the run, and honestly, he hasn't done that great of a job at it because we're getting burned in the run game every year since he's been here. I mean, you can honestly say the same thing for Zach Allen. They brought him in to help stop the run. He wasn't that great at it either. So it's like I wish they would have went DN or maybe a D tackle, especially since the fact that Mike Purcell's gone now. Maybe they're thinking Hennessy or whatever his name is. He's probably going to take a step forward this year. Or Awazarike, he could come back this year if the Broncos plan to. I know he was suspended last year, but if he comes back, maybe they get him more involved and see what he can do. But honestly, I wish they would have drafted a defensive end or defensive tackle in this draft. But I'm not going to complain about the edge. It's more guys getting after the quarterback that they can have on the roster. But honestly, I think this just means for Nick Bonito, they don't see him improving. They don't see a spot for him on this team. Jonathan Cooper, I guess you could say the same thing. They could be rotational guys. Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonito could be rotational guys. Ellis and Browning will be your starters. So I give that position probably, like I said, I don't think grades really matter, but I'm going to go ahead and give one. I'd say that's a solid B plus, maybe an A minus, because at least it's a guy that can get after the quarterback, which we need. And I just think they need to get somebody else in here to help stop that run, because if anything, we've learned anything over the last couple of years is this defense cannot stop the run to save their lives. So I give it a B plus, A minus for Jonah Ellis. So now going on to the fourth round, this is where, this pick I absolutely freaking loved. I understand they traded up. Some people didn't like that because you had 7 picks, I think. But people think, that they shouldn't have traded picks. They should have traded back, stockpiled more. But honestly, I love this pick. I'm happy they traded up for this guy. Troy Franklin, love it. This to me signifies they're going all in. They're doing everything they can to help Bo Nix. So for some of you that don't know, Troy Franklin was Bo Nix's top target in Oregon last year. Him and Bo had a connection like no other. I think he had 23 touchdowns over the past 2 years up there at Oregon with Bo Nix throwing him the football. And I think last year, he had over 1,300 yards. Franklin did. And that was with Bo Nix throwing him the football. So this pick I was ecstatic for. Whenever I saw the pick come out and I saw it, I heard him announce it, I was all for it. I don't care about those picks. You trade up, you get a freaking guy that's going to come in day one. He can help Bo Nix, succeed and, give him a familiar piece to play with. That's awesome. That means they're doing everything they can to get Bo Nix, all the help and make sure he succeeds. And that the Broncos succeed, on the back of that. Because if Bo Nix succeeds, the Broncos succeed. So I'm happy about this pick. Troy Franklin, he's a freaking, he's a great route runner. He's a speed demon. I mean, he's got it all. I think he might need to put on a few more pounds because, you get these bigger corners in the NFL that come up and press him. He's a smaller guy. I think, what was he, 210? I think he's 6'3", 6'2". But these corners come up and press him, when they jam him at the line, he needs to have a little bit more of that body weight. I mean, it might slow him down a little bit, but give him a little bit more of that body weight. He can get off those, DBs and get upfield and get, open for Bo Nix to throw him the football. But this pick was amazing. I loved it. The second I saw that pick, I'm yeah, they're doing everything. This to me signifies the fact that they're not trading Courtland Sutton. They got Courtland Sutton now. They got Marvin Mims, who's a young stud last year. I don't know why they went away from him. But you got Sutton, Mims. I mean, you're going to have Patrick back probably if they don't cut him by training camp. You brought in Reynolds. And now you got Franklin. Like, they're doing everything they can to help Bo Nix succeed this year. And bringing in that familiar piece is awesome. Like, I'm loving it. They're investing in their young QB, you know. And the good thing about it is they didn't have to, trade future assets. They didn't have to trade like first round picks or Patrick Surtain to move up to get their quarterback. They got him at 12, with limited draft picks this year, mind you, and they're able to get another guy that's really freaking good that can help Bo Nix succeed. Like, we're going to be seeing a lot of Bo Nix to Franklin this year, I believe. And honestly, and that brings me into another point of maybe they do trade Cortland Sutton. Like, you know, um, they got Marvin Mims, they brought in Reynolds, they brought in Franklin. I'm not saying I would enjoy seeing Cortland Sutton go. I love him in orange and blue. He's one of my favorite players. But like, if you see Bo Nix starting to, if he gets like a connection with Reynolds, Marvin Mims, and then we know he's got a connection with Franklin, you can use Cortland Sutton as a trade piece to trade and maybe get some more picks for next year. I mean, I think next year, I looked it up yesterday, you got 5 picks next year. You got a first, a second, a third, I think like a fifth and a sixth or something, or maybe a fourth and a fifth, and that's it. So, you could use Cortland Sutton like half the year, maybe try to get him more involved, to where you can, increase his draft value. And by the trade deadline this year, you could trade Cortland Sutton off because then you'll have Marvin Mims, you'll have Franklin, and you'll have Reynolds. And you got 2 young guys that you can build with Bo Nix, one of which has already got chemistry with him. So maybe they do that. I don't know. A lot of crazier stuff has happened, but that's something I could see happening. And that Troy Franklin, draft pick was amazing. Like I said, it really does show that the Broncos are all in on Bo Nix. They're doing everything they can to make sure this kid is successful in the NFL. And I'm excited to see it. So with that grade, I have to give it an A plus because, like I said, they're doing everything they can. The kid's got talent. He's fast. He can get open. Chemistry with Bo Nix is only going to make things better. Like, I give that an A plus, honestly. So, and let's move on to the next draft pick. The next one, I have to say, I also really, really love, and that's the running back that we drafted out of Notre Dame. The kid is jacked. Like, I mean, the kid's freaking massive. I saw pictures and videos of him the other day on YouTube after we drafted him. Holy crap. I mean, he's a beefcake. He really is. Like, the kid is freaking stacked. I know a lot of people don't like that we drafted him because he's slow. And also, like, they're like, well, what's this mean for Javonte? What's this mean for P. Ryan and McLaughlin? Honestly, one of those guys are on their way out. And I hate to say that. I don't know. Like, a lot of people are talking about, oh, it could be Javonte. It's true. Maybe Sean Payton doesn't think he has that twitch anymore ever since that knee injury, which is going to suck because, I love Javonte, number 33, but if this kid is a bowling ball and he's able to freaking, like, if he looks like Javonte did in Javonte's first year, just literally running people over, just slamming through them, just carrying like 5 guys on his back, picking up an extra 6, 7, 8 yards. Like, I mean, you don't need 2 bowling balls at running back. And if Javonte's not the same, I mean, what are you going to do? You can't have 2, beasts like that, one of which is probably not going to get as many carries, Javonte, if Sean Payton doesn't think if he can't break tackles and he's not what he was a couple of years ago, which is why this pick to me, I loved it. But I think, honestly, it signifies the end for Javonte in Denver. Because P. Ryan and McLaughlin, they're not those, big, beefy running backs that are just going to run people over. P. Ryan's more of a, just like McLaughlin, they're both like, helping pass protection, get outside the screen game, maybe in the flat, catch the ball. That's what P. Ryan was brought in for, was to be the guy to come out of the backfield and catch the ball. I'm not saying he can't run the ball. He can. Yeah, of course he can. But he's not that big, beefy guy that can just run guys over and carry like 5 guys on his back to pick up a first down. He's more the guy that you get out into the screen game, boom, hit him on a short pass, and he goes out there and he, picks up a couple of yards for you whenever you need it. That's what P. Ryan is. And McLaughlin's the same thing. So I don't, even like last year, like to me, it was so funny because, at the beginning of the year, it's like we used McLaughlin a little bit more. Then we started using P. Ryan later in the season. So I don't know. One of those guys are going to be out of Denver because you're not going to be able to keep four. I mean, you could, but it's going to be very, very hard to find, carries for each guy. Like if you have four backs in your backfield, McLaughlin, P. Ryan, Javante, and then the new guy, I forgot his name. Remind me, Graham. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But you ain't gonna be able, like you can have four running backs, but they're gonna probably get upset because none of them are gonna get a bunch of carries. If you're trying to rotate in each guy to get them reps, to get them carries or targets, whatever, like it's gonna be a lot harder to do with four running backs than it is with three, of course. And I actually seen some people talk about this the other day. Now with this new rookie running back, maybe it's not Javante that's gone. Maybe it's P. Ryan. Maybe Sean Payton wants that double-headed monster or two big, beefy running backs that can just plow over people. Oh, thank you. S-Time, or Easton, I guess his name is. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But, maybe they want two running backs, that are big, beefy guys that can run people over and carry guys on the backs and just have one running back that's a pass catcher out of the backfield. So maybe P. Ryan's the odd man out. Like, I think if they cut him, I think I saw this the other day. If they cut P. Ryan, I think they save, like, if they cut him, there's no dead cap. If they cut P. Ryan, they save money. They don't lose anything. So P. Ryan could be the one on his way out. McLaughlin will be the guy, that runs out to the flat for the screen game, catches the passes. We know what McLaughlin can do. And honestly, if you could save yourself a couple of million by cutting P. Ryan, and McLaughlin's making peanuts compared to P. Ryan, you can have a younger, more explosive back out of the backfield, catching passes in the flat or doing the screen game than P. Ryan. Like P. Ryan was a beast last year. Don't get me wrong. Like there was a lot of like the Buffalo game. I can think, just off the top of my head, if it wasn't for him on that last drive, catching those balls and breaking tackles to get to the first down, we probably don't win that, Buffalo Bills game, or at least get down there to kick the game-winning field goal. So, or to keep those drives alive. So P. Ryan could be also the odd man out. Maybe Sean Payton, like I said, he wants that two-headed monster with Williams and the new guy to just plow through everybody. And then like on third and short or whatever, third and long situations, you bring McLaughlin in, boom, hit him in the screen game. He goes down the field. He's fast too. That's the thing. Like you hit McLaughlin in the flat and he makes a guy miss, it's going to take a minute for somebody to catch him because the kid's quick. So with the running back, I honestly probably give that probably not the highest grade. I probably give it about a B, because now not only are you helping your young QB here, but now you got a two-headed monster that will just bury people, and teams are going to have to play up. They're going to have to bring guys up into the box to stack it. Because if you got, I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, but if go look at this kid that we drafted for Notre Dame, dude, he is freaking huge. I'm not talking tall-wise. I'm talking about muscle. Like this kid, I would not want to tackle him. Any defender in the NFL says they want to tackle this kid are clearly insane because he's huge. He might be a little slower than Javante or McLaughlin, but he'll just run you over. So maybe that's what they want. That'll really help Bo Nix. Not only that's another great thing about this is that you bring in Franklin, a guy that Bo Nix is familiar with, and he's just helping him and Bo helping Bo succeed. Then you got a two-headed monster in the backfield with Williams and this new guy just burying people. I mean, absolutely. And we still got an offensive line that's more of a run block offensive line. You still got Ben Powers. You still have Mike McGlinchey. Miners is a beast in the run game. So it's like pretty much your entire right side and middle of your offensive line. I mean, Garrett Bowles, honestly, I think he's better than pass pro, but as long as the quarterback can get the ball out on time, which is something Russ couldn't do last year. But also, here's another thing, and I forgot to mention this too. Another reason why it's good for Bo Nix. This is why they're giving Bo Nix every chance to succeed. Honestly, I hope Forsyth wins the center job because for all of you guys that don't know, he played with Bo Nix in Oregon too. Forsyth did. And maybe this was a thing because didn't we draft Forsythe last year in the draft? Maybe this was an indication. Maybe Sean Payton even knew since last year. He's like, I like Bo Nix. If we have a chance to get him next year, I want to go get him. Now, a lot of people are going to be saying, well, does that mean Sean Payton knew by last draft that, he wanted to get rid of Russ? Maybe. I mean, it wasn't hard to see in 2022 that Russ, you know, he really doesn't have it no more. Even though I was defending them last year. But like it doesn't matter. Like you got all these players that can really you're gonna have a two-headed monster in the backfield to really help Bo Nix. You're gonna have a receiver that he played with at Oregon that got 1,300 yards with Bo Nix throwing him the football and 23 touchdowns over 2 years, and you got a center that played with Bo Nix in Oregon. Like everything is set up for Bo Nix to freaking succeed, and I am so stoked for it, man. Like there's no freaking way. Like I was saying just even a couple short weeks ago that this team is probably going to be bad in 2023. But with all the picks that we made, everything we done with the pass rusher to the new running back to the receiver that we drafted with Bo Nix, this offensive line, the weapons that we have, like, is it crazy for me to say, which I don't think it is, the Broncos could compete in 2024? Like, wouldn't that be the wildest thing for the Broncos? Granted, I still think they need another draft before they're like actual, Super Bowl contenders. But what if the Broncos make the playoffs this year? I know that's wild, but what if it happens with everything they've done this offseason? I mean, granted, they didn't make a whole lot of splashy moves, but they brought back Michael Burt, which means they're probably going to run the ball, to help a young QB. You get a big, beefy freaking, running back with Javonte in the backfield to just run people over. You get a receiver that has experience with Bo Nix, really good experience, and then you have a center that you drafted last year that's probably going to have chemistry with Bo Nix if he wins the starting job, which I hope to God he does. For all you guys out there, there's going to be a competition for the starting center position. We all need to root for Forsythe to take that because that way him and Bo Nix, they already have chemistry from a couple of years ago, and they can build on that here with the Broncos. So, man, it's going to be fun. Maybe the Broncos compete for the playoffs this year. I know that's crazy to say. They're taking $53 million dead cap money this year for Russell Wilson. Wouldn't it be the wildest thing with the Broncos taking $53 million in dead cap with a rookie quarterback make the playoffs? Like, I'm not expecting them to do, anything. Like, if they make the playoffs, I think it's possible they could. But if they make the playoffs, I don't think they're going to get very far. They'll probably get eliminated in the first round. But boy, could you just see it? Bo Nix in his first year with Sean Payton, with all the stuff they brought in this year, just get to the playoffs. Oh my God, that would be amazing. So I hope that's what happens. Honestly, I'd be super excited for it. But with, like I said, the running back, great. I give it a B. Let's just see how he does. Now, the last couple of picks of the draft, I believe, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. We got another receiver and offensive line guy. Sorry, kind of got confused there. The offensive line guy they drafted at 256, I don't think he's going to do much. Maybe he goes in and competes for a backup role. Maybe, but I think he's more of a guard. Like, I don't think he's going to take over Ben Powers' position. He's not going to take over Meisner. Maybe center, but I mean, you already got like 3 guys on the roster for the center position that are going to be competing. Maybe they bring him in to compete, but I still think Forsythe should win that. So they got another receiver, which he's probably gonna be more of a practice squad guy, honestly, on the depth chart. Because right now, I mean, look at the receiver, room right now. You got Courtland Sutton, Marvin Mims, you got Timmy Patrick, you got Reynolds, you got Franklin, you got you got like Brandon Johnson, you got still little Jordan Humphrey that they brought back. You got this other new guy, Vale, I think his name is. You got him, so this receiving room is going to be stacked. Oh, and the last other pick that they brought in, which is honestly I'm fine with, is Abrams Drain, cornerback from Missouri. Maybe I think they brought him in to, like, I think the starting corners for the season are going to be, of course, Sertan on one side, Levi Wallace, since he's a veteran, unless he gets beat out in training camp or something, will be on the other side. And of course, McMillan's going to be in the slot. The kid's a baller in the slot. Like, I think it'd be silly unless he absolutely gets destroyed in camp or preseason by another corner. McMillan's going to be your slot corner. Sertan's going to be your number one. But now it's like, okay, you got Damari Mathis, you got this young rookie you just drafted, Drain, and Riley Moss, all to compete for that other outside corner position. So those are the two big competition I'm looking forward to this offseason. This training camp and preseason is the cornerback one and the center one. We're going to have a new center and probably a new corner. Like, I mean, it's possible. Like, I don't remember what exactly the deal was for Levi Wallace. I think he'll probably start, honestly, depending on what his contract is. I know it's a 1-year deal. I don't know how much it's worth or how much of the guarantees are. I think it's like maybe 4 or 5 million guarantee. The deal's up to maybe like 9 million total. So maybe if Levi Wallace doesn't play that well, they cut him. And, if like Riley Moss wins it, I don't think Damari Mathis will win it. The kid was getting toasted last year. He's not that good. So maybe Drain or Riley Moss take that, spot at the second cornerback position. That'd be pretty cool. Then you'll have Sertan or a young rookie or Riley Moss who you drafted last year. See what they got. You got McMillan in the slot. So there's going to be a lot of fun stuff. If I had to give the cornerback draft pick a grade, I'd say it's probably about a solid B-, because I honestly don't know a whole lot about Drain. I know he played for Missouri. So I watched some of his tape. I wasn't really all that impressed with it. 1 year. Oh, okay. So about 1.1 million. So yeah, it's like he could very easily, Wallace might not even be the second corner. It could be Riley Moss or the new guy. It just depends on how they do. But like I said, training camp and preseason are going to be really fun this year to watch. You're going to have a cornerback competition, I guarantee you, a center competition. I pretty much think maybe even like for like the fourth or fifth, maybe if we carry 6 wide receivers in the 6th spot on our depth chart for receivers, you're probably going to see a competition there too. Cortland Sutton's, of course, going to be the number one, unless they trade him, which I don't think they will. They're going to give Bo Nix all the weapons they can give him this season, at least for half of it. Franklin's probably going to make the team because of the connection with Bo Nix. They brought in Reynolds for a couple years, so he's probably not going nowhere. Marvin Mims, like those are your top 4: Sutton, Franklin, Reynolds, Marvin Mims. I mean, then you're going to have Tim Patrick, who could still probably ball, but who knows? He might not. He might get cut. But 2 big injuries in 2 years, like, I don't know if he makes the roster, but he could. But it's like, if the Broncos decide to carry 6 wide receivers, you already got 4. We're going to make it. And that leaves 2 spots open. And that's if Timmy P doesn't play well too, and he makes that 5th spot. Then you're going to have, the other young guy, Vale, that we drafted, little Jordan Humphrey, who they brought back, maybe Brandon Johnson, Vigil, all these guys, they're going to be competing for that 6th spot if they carry, 6 receivers. It could be like last year, and they only carry 5, and they pretty much got, in the 5th spot is going to be between like Tim Patrick, the young rookie they drafted, not Franklin, but the other guy, Jordan Humphrey, and all these other guys. Because they might want to carry 4 or 5 tight ends again this year because they might want to try to run the ball. So overall, I give the draft class probably, I'd say a solid B- is what I give the whole draft class. Because like a lot of these guys, you don't know what they're going to pan out. The only one I think is going to pan out 100% that I have 100% sticking my flag in the ground with is Bo Nix. Like, they're giving him everything. If the kid fails, it's going to be on his own, which I don't think that's going to happen. The kid's a great processor. He's good at timing routes. He's accurate. He can get the ball out quick. He gets it, he throws over the middle. He can go up to a defense. He can check out of something. He can read his checks and, everything. So I think Bo Nix is going to succeed. I think all these young guys will. But until they prove it on the field, it's probably going to take a few years. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it takes Nix 2 years to fully develop, maybe even 3. But who knows? Maybe it'll be another CJ Stroud. Maybe Bo Nix with this team will be another CJ Stroud just like last year. Who knows? Like, that's the best we can hope for. So, but all in all, I'm happy with the draft class. Like I said, solid B minus is what I give it. For everybody. Excuse me. So, what are your guys' grades? What do you think? Do you think the Broncos did good? Do you think they did poorly in the draft? Like, what do you guys think? I would love to know in the comments below. So, but for tonight, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Been going for about 36 minutes. So, but yeah, the draft was great. Solid B minus is what I give it. And can the season be here already? I'm ready for it. Like, I don't want to wait 3 more months, 4 more months. Heck, even just training camp, I'm ready for, man. Like, I'm going to try to go to every training camp I can this year. Tickets usually go on sale in like July. I'm going to try to get tickets for every single day to go because I want to go out there and I want to watch these kids freaking practice. I want to see how good they are. I'm going to watch every preseason game and see how good they are. So, but like I said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What do you think of the draft class? What would you give each player a grade? Out of all the players, what's the grade you would give each player? And overall, what would be the grade you would give the whole draft class? So let me know in the comments below. I'm going to jump off here for tonight. And please like, comment, subscribe on this video and this page. And I will talk to you guys later. Peace.